Good afternoon to all of you and happy Doctors Day to all my future doctors and those who are already practicing doctors. So
Same
today,
to you, sir.
Same to you, sir.
thank you. Today we are continuing our previous class. We just left with one aphorism. In aphorism number 19 and 20, till now we have studied that in aphorism number 19, we have studied that there is something in the medicine. Because of that, the medicine is capable of producing some alteration in the state of health of a sick individual. And because of this quality, medicine is capable of curing the sick individual. This is ongoing process that we witness everywhere, and so we have to know that what is in the medicine. Because of that, medicine is capable of curing a sick individual. Simultaneously, it is our intention that we have to know what is the disease curing power in medicine. And this disease curing power in medicine is nothing but the disease producing power in medicine. And that was in aphorism number 19 that Hahnemann has described it with different references. When we come to know that disease producing power of medicine is disease curing power of medicine, then our next step is how we will come to know more and more about the disease curing power of a medicine. To know the maximum characters of a medicine, the maximum property of a medicine, the maximum quality of a medicine by which it produces, it take itself from a medicine to a remedy. That means a diagnosed or fully known in its character of its curative property. Aphorism number 20, Hahnemann has advised that this quality of medicine is not tangible. It is intangible. This quality of medicine is spirit-like. This quality of medicine is dynamic. So it is not perceptible by any type of or any reasoning or any external feature. Rather, it is the quality which lies hidden in the medicine. And to know this inner hidden quality of a medicine, we have to prove this medicine, we have to administer this medicine, we have to know through a unique phenomena by which the inner hidden quality of a medicine make itself present to our senses. And this unique phenomena is known as drug proving. So it is only proved by, it is only known by drug proving, and it is not known by any other reasoning. So this was the message in aphorism number 20. Aphorism number 21 we will study is describing the same process. Whatever we have studied in aphorism number 19 and 20, in this aphorism number 21, Hahnemann is collectively describing these two aphorisms, and he is here finally giving what is required for knowing the curative power of a medicine. And so he says here, now as it is undeniable that the curative principle in medicine is not in itself perceptible. इस बात को बिल्कुल क्लियर रखना. That is the first indication. Why Hahnemann here start with this word? Because if you study, if you remember the history of development of homeopathy, or you can say since the first identification of law of similia from Hippocrates till Hahnemann, it was only this quality of this part of or this section of similia that was missing, and that credit goes to Hahnemann, because law of similia was observed by Hippocrates, but homeopathy was not developed because one part of sickness, one state of symptoms, one set of symptoms, one set of altered manifestation was there, but where to match, what will be the second part from where we will match similia similibus, that was proposed by many medical persons, many philosophical persons, and it was not up to the mark. Among them, one of the very famous person in history of medicine that we know as Paracelsus, he advised this similia, the second half of the similia, in the form of doctrine of signature. And he has practiced many way. It was not proved to be a perfect one, because this law of doctrine of signature considered the curative property of medicine from its features, external features, physical characters, chemical characters, its adjacent environments, its accessory phenomena, and all those perceptible and logically identifiable characters. And at that time, during the time of, if you remember, the development of homeopathy, that we all know that Hahnemann was translating Cullen's Materia Medica. There was a Materia Medica at that time also. And nowadays also we have a Materia Medica. But they are not same. They are very different. That Materia Medica, those Materia Medica before that time, during our time of Hahnemann, was completely based on this. That's why Hahnemann is first denying this. That is, it was based on the symptomatology, the character that is observed, that is collected, that is summarized only by external features, only by those type of features which came through the physical, chemical, or you can say from doctrine of signature or other sources other than drug proving. It was all informations other than drug proving. So first he denies, but it is not in itself perceptible. ये अपने आप से नहीं मिलेगा, इसको मिलने के लिए क्या करना पड़ेगा? Then he says, and as in the pure experiment, this pure experiment is indicative of drug proving. As in the pure experiment with medicine, conducted by the most accurate observer. Most accurate observer. This is one of the quality of prover. Nothing can be observed that can constitute them medicine or remedies, except that power of causing distinct alteration in the state of health of the body, of a human body. That is called drug proving. So here he is clearly saying nothing can be utilized to know the curative power of a medicine except this quality, that it produces alteration on the state of health of a healthy individual, to which we know as drug proving. Then he says, and particularly in that of the healthy individual and of exciting in him various defined morbid symptoms. So what happened when we use this medicine in apparently healthy individual? It produces certain alteration in the state of health of that person, that prover. And we collect all those alteration as far as possible in a more precise manner. That's why it is called in a defined morbid symptom. Defined morbid symptom is very important. we all know the symptomatology regarding complete symptom, parts of the symptom, and we give full credit that it is Monin Hussain who has developed the concept of complete symptom. But my dear friend, it is Hahnemann who has emphasized this in the various name, in the various aspect, but the name and collectively one more thrush was given by Monin Hussain, but it was actually emphasized by Hahnemann. So this defined symptom is nothing but taking the symptom in as far as possible in its complete, in its all parts. And defined is mostly emphasizing the part modality part. So it follows that when medicine act as a remedy, you must be knowing the difference or some of the definition that you have studied in your pharmacy regarding the medicine and remedy. So when medicine act as remedies, they can only bring their curative property into play by means of their power of altering man's state of health by production of peculiar symptom. This is the message that we have collected from our previous aphorism, that the power of altering man's state of health is the peculiar power that a medicine is capable of for curing a disease. And that is called the disease producing power of a medicine is disease curing power of that medicine. And so finally what we came to know, and that therefore we have only, this is very important, that's why I have highlighted here again, only no other source than a unique method of knowing the quality of medicine. So we have only to rely on the morbid phenomena which the medicine produce in the healthy body as the sole possible revelation of their indwelling curative power. Indwelling curative power means a medicine or a substance or any material that has in itself its healing property. Indwelling means that reside within, but we have to know, because that residing within is a quality that is spirit like, that is dynamic, that is not perceptible to our senses. And so we have to know this through an act of a phenomena by this a unique method, and then only we will be able to know the maximum quality, this indwelling inner quality of that substance or that medicine. So in order to learn what disease producing power and at the same time what disease curing power each individual medicine possesses. So to know what is disease curing power, we come to know that it is the disease producing power that is called disease curing power. And how you will know that? It is simple. If disease curing power, now come from backward to forward. If disease curing power we have to know, then it is established that disease producing power is disease curing power. When it is clear, then if we have to know the disease curing power, then we have to apply this medicine, what it can produce. And if we will know what it can produce, then this can be utilized as what it can cure. And so it is disease producing power of a medicine that is called disease curing power. And if we have to know the disease curing power, we have to apply the medicine what it can produce. And if we will have a collection of what a medicine can produce in different apparently healthy individual, what different symptoms, what different syndromes, what different type of alteration, the collection of all those alteration, the collection of all those information, all those sensation and functions will be collectively known as the real character of that medicine. And when any medicine is completely or as far as in a maximum way known in its theoretic power, then it can be utilized as a remedy. And when it proves a curative, it performs its duty and it is called as a remedy. Anyone having any doubt in these three aphorisms that we have studied yesterday and today? Anyone? Hello?
No, sir.
यहाँ तक समझ में आया?
Yes, sir.
आई थिंक अभी अब टाइम कम रह गया है आपको. कल फिर अब इसी टाइम पे we will start your what is remaining part of you that you told aphorism number 7 or 8.
Yes, sir.
ठीक है, आई थिंक अब 10 मिनट और रह गया, या अभी पढ़ना है तो बोलो, अभी हम शुरू कर लेंगे.
Yes, sir.
7 8 शुरू करें.
Yes, sir.
चलो ठीक है, जस्ट ए मिनट.
Sir, 21 का breakup.
अच्छा अच्छा अच्छा, देर से बोलते हो, जस्ट ए मिनट. दिस इज 21 ब्रेकअप, नोट कर लो. So this is 21 breakup, curative power of medicine, that spirit-like power, the dynamic power is not perceptible in itself. The first sentence, what Hahnemann emphasized. और यहाँ पे आप all other earlier information of knowing a medicine or all the other sources that made the previous Materia Medica before 1790 was here. But here is what we know as our homeopathic Materia Medica. That is the pure source of Materia Medica, and that is based on this, the power of causing alteration in the state of health. And that power is collectively combined, and that forms our true knowledge of medicinal power. Okay. So we can continue aphorism number 7. Hello.
Yes, sir.
ठीक है.
Yes, sir.
So aphorism number 7, if we want to study aphorism number 7, we will go back. That aphorism number 7 is not an independent aphorism in itself. It is a part of aphorism number that begins from 5 to 8. And this section we know as the precursor of your case taking. Or you can say it a blueprint of your case taking. Or you can say these aphorism deals with the guidelines of need what we require during case taking. And if in this section we just have a look on the previous two aphorisms, in aphorism number 5 it was mentioned that regarding what we should look upon as a cause of disease, and for which Hahnemann has emphasized in aphorism number 5 regarding the most probable exciting cause in case of acute diseases, and fundamental cause in case of chronic disease. For fundamental cause, Hahnemann emphasized to search for the most prominent part in the whole history of a chronic case. So in aphorism number 5, Hahnemann has emphasized regarding most probable exciting cause and regarding fundamental cause. These are the two important landmarks. These are the important pillars that we must find, we must search for in case of acute disease or chronic disease respectively. And then Hahnemann has here emphasized in aphorism number 5 regarding accessory circumstances. इस एक्सेसरी सर्कमस्टांसेस में देखोगे लास्ट में HCC लिखा हुआ है, इसका मतलब वही नहीं है कि सिर्फ जो 7 पॉइंट्स हनीमैन ने बताया है उतना ही है, उसके बाद भी और भी है. So finding of either exciting cause or fundamental cause along with the accessory circumstances are the basic requirement of a case taking for acute or chronic disease respectively. Then in aphorism number 6, Hahnemann first emphasized regarding unprejudiced observer. So जिसको के we can say we usually teach in classes that who will take the case, and so the reply should be the unprejudiced observer. Those who are going to take the case, they must not be biased. They must not be having any type of preformed ideas. So we have studied already in details. So first criteria that aphorism number 6 deals is unprejudiced observer. Second criteria that aphorism number 6 describe is what are our limitation of taking the symptom. जिसके लिए aphorism number 6 में Hahnemann कहता है take note of nothing except the changes in the state of the health of the body and mind. That means we have to start our collection of symptomatology with this boundary, that from where this disturbance begins, then afterwards all the field is our required area. This is the exactly our influencing area from where we have to collect the symptomatology. Then third, Hahnemann here in this aphorism number 6 describe what are the sources of symptom. From this area you will take the symptom, but what are the sources of taking your symptom in this area? And here he says that it is the patient himself, it is the attendant of the patient, and then he says the observation by the physician. So these are the three sources of information that we have to apply for collection of symptom. And then one more important point that aphorism number 6 Hahnemann has described in regarding the in the bracket, that is morbid phenomena, accident and symptom. That is again emphasizing the complete part of the symptom, the details of the symptom, symptoms as a whole, not symptom just in a section. And then if we have collected all these information according to this guideline, then our collection that we have collected, that collection will be called as portrait of disease. So it was till aphorism number 6. From here onwards, this next aphorism describe, if we have collected the portrait of disease, one part is completed. Now in aphorism number 7 onwards, or in aphorism number 7, Hahnemann emphasized regarding perfection. In aphorism number 5, what Hahnemann says, kya kya lena hai? What are the things that we have to emphasize? And that was cause, symptomatology, accessory circumstances. Then in aphorism number 6, Hahnemann has emphasized who will take the case, from where you will take the case, and collect all the things. Now portrait of disease is complete. Now in aphorism number 7, Hahnemann emphasized regarding perfection. Complete करो, हर चीज काम का नहीं है, जो लाए हो उसके अंदर यूटिलाइज होने के लिए कौन कौन रेस्पॉन्सिबल है और कौन कौन है जिसका यूटिलाइजेशन नहीं होगा, those things will be separated. So this is the first aphorism for correction in your collection of symptomatology of case taking. This is the first aphorism of guiding you regarding analysis of symptoms, or you can say analysis of your case, and for which first direction of this in this aphorism, Hahnemann is emphasizing regarding causa occasionalis. I will describe you aphorism. Before that, I will just giving you some important words that is highlighting in this aphorism. Causa occasionalis. Do you know what is the meaning of causa occasionalis? Anyone?
So
Hello.
occasional cause. So causa means cause and occasionalis वो occasionally जो cause कर रहा है कोई भी चीज disease उसको causa occasionalis.
Good. Most of the time, some student replies causa occasionalis means exciting or maintaining cause. It is not true. Causa occasionalis means simply, causa means cause, occasions means this happening. So what is responsible for this happening is called causa occasionalis. Now we can go further in defining it. What may be the causes of this happening that Hahnemann has described into two different ways. So this happening may be due to exciting cause, or this happening may be due to maintaining cause. So exciting or maintaining cause are the here types or the sources of or different directions of causa occasionalis. Causa occasionalis is not directly being translated, or it is not is synonymous with exciting or maintaining cause. Exciting or maintaining cause are the two different ways or two different pillars that may act as causa occasionalis. So causa occasionalis means simply what you have said just is the cause of this happening, and this happening may be due to exciting cause or may be due to maintaining cause. So in this aphorism, Hahnemann first emphasized that in your case, first you must separate your collection of symptoms, that those symptoms which are due to causa occasionalis, they must be separated out. They will not take part in the formation of totality of symptom. So we must separate those manifestations which are due to causa occasionalis. Then he says, after this removal, after this correction, after this filtration, this is a filter that you must remove this which may adulterate your totality of symptom, the symptoms of causa occasionalis. Then whatever will be remaining, that he says is the morbid symptom. That means these are the symptoms due to your miasmatic influence along with the influence of your accessory circumstances, and this symptom will be the symptoms that will take part in the formation of totality of symptom. So first message in this aphorism, इसको टाइम कम है, हम अगली क्लास में पढ़ेंगे, आपको यहाँ से मैसेज बता रहे हैं. फर्स्ट मैसेज इन दिस aphorism is remove the effects of causa occasionalis. Then whatever the remaining symptoms will be, they will be the true morbid symptoms. They will be taking part in the formation of totality of symptom. Second message here Hahnemann is giving is that what is symptom? The definition of symptom that I have already discussed with you, and to that Hahnemann again here emphasized the symptoms. Symptoms are nothing but outwardly reflected manifestation of internally dynamically deranged vital force. So symptoms are nothing but a reflection of internally dynamic derangement of vital force. And to this Hahnemann here first emphasized that this derangement can only be reflected outside in the form of altered manifestation. I have yesterday discussed you that when the person is living, he is showing us manifestations. Again, when the person is sick, so he is again living. If he is sick, that means one thing, that he is living, not he is dead. So he is again having manifestation. But this sick manifestation we know in the form of, in the name of symptoms. So manifestations in the healthy condition or expression in the healthy condition is known as manifestations, and those altered manifestation or manifestation in the altered state, that is in the sick state, is known as symptom. And to know the real derangement of vital force which is inside, which is dynamic, which is not perceivable to our senses, the only source is nothing but the symptom and symptom alone. That it is the symptom only that will reflect us regarding the whatever difficulties, whatever defaults, whatever derangements the vital force is going on inside. And to this, Hahnemann says, the sum total of all these alteration will guide you regarding the detailed derangement of vital force, and that is called totality of symptom. And so the third message is totality of symptom is the only source for defining a sick individual's character. That is, it is the only source that defines a disease state of that individual. And similarly, this totality of symptom is the only source that is required for selection of remedy, and that is matching in your materia medica. And third one, it is the totality of symptom is only this that is required to be removed if we say person is now in a state of health. So first is correct the symptom. Second, he says what is symptom, that is affection of vital force. Third is symptom alone is the only source through which we can identify the derangement of vital force, and the sum total of such symptoms is the only that is required for knowing the disease, as well as that is required for knowing the medicine, and that only is required to be removed if we say a person is now from a state of disease to a state of disease to a state of health. Am I right?
Yes, sir.
चलो इसको फिर एक एफरिज्म को अभी सिर्फ 2.5 मिनट रह गया है, इसको हम एक बार, अब ये तो मीनिंग बता दिया, इस एफरिज्म और इसका फुटनोट के साथ हम कल पढ़ेंगे. In this aphorism, two important footnotes are there. One is dealing with this causa occasionalis, and one footnote is dealing with totality of symptom. So tomorrow we will study this aphorism once again after this continuation, and aphorism number 8. Then after we will continue for the next part of your remaining syllabus. Till now, anyone having any doubt? Anyone?
No, sir. No, sir. No, sir.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.